Let's talk about it all, including the other side of the football as well, with our guy Jason Avant. The Lunch Hour with Jason Avant, sponsored by Walnut Street Smiles and Chestnut Dental Studio, part of the Doodat Dental Group, official dentist of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to seeing you guys. Doodat Dental in the building. Here we go.
That's right. And it's a good day. So I'm curious, how do you view that game last night? So Hugh, a defensive guy that has sworn off defense for 2 years, he saw the light last night. I felt
that
like
was a defensive struggle, man.
It was like
that
old
was a
school
real
football.
Good
But did you, as an offensive guy, do you view it that way, or you're like, come on, 10-7? Like, how did you view the game last night?
Man, I call it the paint dry game from offensive perspective. I'm looking at it, but I was excited for the defense because they were able to get stops. You saw Jalen Phillips do his thing, and the defensive line be productive, especially the defensive ends. I know Hugh can, attest to that. They had 13 tackles, they had 2 sacks, they had 3 TFLs, they had a fumble recovery. That's the most productive that the defensive end position has been all season. So I was excited about that. But again, offensively, I'm like, dang, this is horrible to watch at times. Just paint dry. I was asleep at halftime.
All right, so let's unpack the offense. Now they did enough to win. They got the big touchdown to Devontae, but it was choppy. A lot of 3-and-outs. Was that last night, from your perspective, man, that Green Bay defense is good and Micah was getting a lot of pressure? Or was it more, hey, the Eagles, they left some things out on the field? Like, why were they held down so much?
It's a combination of both. You knew that the pass rush for the Packers were going to be good with Micah Parsons and also Rashawn Gary, Deontay Wyatt. Those guys are good. But I thought there was a lot of meat left on the bone. And after the first 15, I don't know what it is. After the first 15, the play calling goes down drastically for most of the games this year. And we begin to get in this methodic, predictable play calling, session, or I guess. So on first downs, we are more than likely to run the ball on that down rather than be an aggressive on first down. But Jalen missed a lot of throws and a lot of open guys in that moment. Now, he protected the football outside of his fumble, and the team played conservative football where they didn't make a bunch of mistakes, but there was a bunch of guys running free that Jalen didn't get the ball to, and you got to ask yourself, why is that? So I thought that was the gist of the offense. Not much variety in the run game after that first 15, and they were very predictable.
I was kind of curious. I was anxious to talk to you this morning because I was watching the game since our last talk, and you were, just trying to watch it like you watched the game. Mm-hmm. And a caller called in this morning, and he was upset with Jalen because he felt like there was a lot of times that A.J. Brown was open and Jalen didn't see him. There was a lot of times when I was watching, it felt like, from my purview, that he didn't get the kind of separation that Smitty got. Did you see it the same way, Jason?
Well, I look at it from this perspective. I don't see it, from that perspective. Like, there's times as a receiver, your chances of getting the ball. Mm-hmm. And then the time that A.J., may have looked like he didn't come off the ball, he probably knew to his side that he had no chance or what have you. Mm-hmm. But on the plays that I saw, Jalen on a scramble left, Deontay Wyatt knocked him out of bounds. A.J. Brown was running right across the field on a shallow cross that would have went for about 30, 35 yards. That's one play. The one where Carrington Valentine almost picked the ball and he gave like the little, gesture that I was this close to Jahan Dotson. A.J. Brown beat his man silly, Keyshawn Nixon on the other side of the field on an in-breaking route, right? So you look at those things and you're like, dude, why isn't the ball getting out? So I would agree with the caller in that Jalen at times predetermines his reads and or is confused.
Receiver tracking.
Right? Mm. Yeah, so at times, right? Just think about this play. And this is the concept sometimes where A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can get frustrated. Here is, think about it, the Giants game a couple weeks ago with Jahan Dotson, his spectacular catch. Mm-hmm. That was a great catch by Jahan Dotson. On the opposite side of the field, Devontae Smith made his man fall down and was open by 30 yards. Why the hell are you looking at Jahan Dotson if all things are equal? I'm going to my playmakers, and that's where A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can be frustrated because when the game is equal, you should go to your playmakers rather than looking at Jahan Dotson or whoever else.
Well, the playmakers made a couple plays to set them up. They only scored one touchdown last night. It was the Saquon catch and run with the spin move, and then it was Devontae's catch in the end zone. Let's start with Devontae. To take us through what makes him so good, because when he came in the NFL, Jason, I was skeptical, not that he could play, but that one, he'd hold up physically, and two, could he win contested catches at his size? And all he does is win contesting. Like, why is he so good at those? What do you see? What does he do that makes it where it's like jump ball, and I feel confident now at this point in his career he's going to come up with it most of the time?
Well, Devontae's a worker. Like, he's a worker bee. He's been undersized. Those types of things bring about like a competitive nature to you because people doubt you all the time. And he's one of those guys that like relishes that and looks forward to it. So in between practice, when you're going to, NFL practice, the offense is on the field against the scout team defense, and then the defense goes against the scout team offense. During that period of time, Devontae is putting in work, catching, working on little things. So he is building for those moments. He probably catches 300-400 catches for every one catch that he catches in the NFL. So he's prepared for those moments. And in that moment, he gets a one-on-one with Evan Williams, but that was a great job by Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to just totally say Jalen Hurts is a bad player or anything like that. On that particular play,
I thought the punt moved the safety up. Did you see that too?
Yeah, so you have two ball hawks. You have a ball hawk back there in Xavier McKinney, a guy that's picked Jalen Hurts off 3 times. So what he did was with it dig by A.J. Brown, he pumped it so that froze Xavier McKinney, which was a huge part of that play. Now he's away from it. Now it's a one-on-one with Evan Williams, and now he makes a play.
I know it didn't really show up on the stat sheet, but I felt like Jalen did some good things in that game. What was your overall assessment of Jalen's play during that game last night?
Well, when it came to winning time, he made the throws that caused the Eagles to win. Being getting the ball out to the flat with the one-on-one with Saquon, I thought that was the biggest play of the ball game.
They flipped the field, yeah.
They flipped the field. It put them in a situation where they could be aggressive. And then that throw to Devontae, that was a winning play. And then he protected the ball. He relied upon his defense. I thought Jalen had like a C game when it comes to what we expect from Jalen, but he did everything that we needed him to do to win the ball game. And he didn't turn the ball over after that first one. And that's a thing that's in the NFL. What's his name? Landman from the Rams have won 2 ball games by the punch out when guys are going to the ground.
Yeah.
And that's been a memo going around the league of when guys are going to the ground, they're the most vulnerable because they need one hand to brace because it kind of protects you from injury. So now guys are just attacking that, and now the offense
that
has
was
to
a
adjust.
hell of a play.
It was a great play.
It was. Today's show sponsored by NJM Insurance. Jason Avant in with us for the 12 o'clock hour. Ross Tucker's going to join at 12:30. It's Football Guy Hour. We're happy to have Hugh Douglas back as a football guy. He appreciates defense all of a sudden, which is great to hear. All right, we need your thoughts on the end of the game sequence because I'm sitting there trying not to wake up my wife and kids screaming at my TV at like 11:30 last night. What did you think of the decision by the Eagles to go for the 4th down? So the ball's in the 35. There's 33 seconds to go. Packers have no timeouts. Obviously, it's a 3-point game. The only chance the Packers have is to get in field goal range with a kicker, by the way, that is banged up and hasn't been himself all season. I thought the play there, Jason, is a punt. And look, I recognize it probably goes in the end zone. It's probably a net of 15 yards. But those 15 yards to me, with no timeouts, matter. What did you make of that decision by the Eagles to go for that play?
It was a bad one. And you can't say anything else about it. It was a bad decision. And I said yesterday, it wasn't just that it was a bad call. It was his explanation in a press conference.
Well, it made no sense.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
His explanation in a press conference just baffled me.
But before we go on, Kyle, can we hear it again for everyone just jumping in? Jason Avant with us. Let's hear Sirianni after the game explaining whatever the hell that play was.
Again, in that moment, we made the decision to go for it in that one. Don't regret that at all. Wanted to be able to end the game. Play didn't, we didn't work. It didn't work this time. Sometimes that happens, and but I got a lot of faith in sending those guys back out there in those scenarios. I had a very similar one, that we're all high-fiving about against Cleveland last year, right? Very similar, that we went vertical on, and A.J. and Jalen made a great play. Didn't work this time. Had a, in a 4-minute mode, kind of similar-ish to the Minnesota game. So, when they work, we're high-fiving. When they don't work, you're going to go back and say, hey, was this the best thing that we should have done in this particular case? And we'll be hypercritical of ourselves there.
By the way, before you respond, Jason, I looked up the two plays he was talking about. One was after the 2-minute warning, a 2nd and 11 against Cleveland. And then the one against Minnesota a few weeks ago was a 3rd and 9 with 1:45 to go. I mean, those are not the same things.
No, it's not the same things at all. And punt still hasn't registered in his brain.
He was responding to why he didn't kick the field goal. No one was talking about a field goal.
Yeah. Punt didn't register in his brain at all. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, that's a horrible call because you stopped the clock on 3rd down with the pass, right? So you allowed them to keep a timeout. And like you said, you need to get that ball down a little bit further. Back in the day, the quarterbacks used to have some athleticism. They could do a little pooch punt down into the end zone. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Because they just like a real quick punt to get it, to bury him down there.
Yeah, because there's no going back, right? So that could have been a great, play call. But to me, that didn't make sense at all. And when you think about it, just how many times in the game where there was a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, where we did the cowards draw and just gave it up. So why all of a sudden be aggressive in that moment?
Yeah, it doesn't like line up.
It doesn't line up.
That dog don't.
All right, do you? And I know you're not going to know the answer to this because you're not there in the huddle, you're on the sideline. Do you think that there's a possibility that Jalen and A.J. changed that play? Like, we were trying to workshop, did they send them out there to see if they could get the Packers to jump, and then if not, take the delay game and then give the punter a little more room, and maybe Jalen and A.J. saw something and said, let's just try to do this? Like, is that plausible, or is that clearly you would think a coaching thing where he says, no, we're running the play?
No, I think that was the play call because remember, even though a player can go out there and change the call, they are usually panning right to the coach when the play's being called and right after the play. And it's very, very hard to control and contain your emotion if the players went off schedule and called their own play. I'm pretty sure we would have saw some visible frustration by Nick.
So
we have some footage.
There was. Right after the play, there is a why from Sirianni. As he walked away. So they pan incomplete. They pan to Sirianni. He starts walking away, and you see a why. Now,
was it wide toward Kevin Petula?
I don't know. That's a good question. Who's the wide towards? I'm not sure. 215-592-9400. Let's take a phone call here. Jason Avant with us. Football Guy Hour. Let's go to Christopher in Reading. Want to talk about that 4th down decision. Hey, Christopher.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Christopher. What's up? Wow, there's Christopher hanging up and leave. That's all right.
Say hi.
He wanted to say, hey, what's up? Jake in Baltimore. What's up, Jake? Jake?
How's it going, guys?
Good
afternoon.
What's up, buddy?
So first and foremost, the big congratulations goes to YouTube and ESPN for making sure we didn't all have to sit through that last night. Like, brutal.
They had the right of it.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, good foresight on their call, I guess. That 4th down call, I got to tell you. So here's the thing, right? Like you, it was late at night, and I'm sitting here, and they run it out there the first time, and they have to take the timeout, right? I think we forget that part because they actually took a timeout before they went out there and ran it again. So we took our 2nd timeout. They go back out there, and I think surely there's no way they're hiking this ball, right? Like they're going to try to draw somebody off sides, or at the very least, if they do snap it, it's going to be a handoff. It's something, right? You're not gonna toss it down the field. I think my biggest issue with it was I don't want to curse, so insert choice word. Are we choosing that time in this game to suddenly decide we want to throw the football?
Well, that's Jason's point. Like, they had a bunch of cowards draws, right? 3rd and 11. I mean, before halftime, they didn't even try to score points, right? Like, they were very conservative.
They went into the half.
Yeah, it doesn't line up, Jake. Like, the idea of getting super aggressive there to not give the football back, but being conservative earlier, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Now, I do want to stress that. So, I know this is going to be a little bit of a backtrack, but on the Devontae Smith touchdown, the play immediately preceding that, A.J. Brown actually picked up a really strong block that gave Saquon a few extra yards, and I do think it's worth it, just pointing out, because all I've heard is how he doesn't want to be here, and I mean, that man picked up a block, and those yards did help, but I don't think they could change the play. I actually think if Jalen gets the ball further down the field, for the record, A.J. might catch it, but I think it's a cold weather game. I think you have to know at that point that, the defense is playing great, but punt the freaking ball.
It feels simple. It really does. Jake, man, good phone call.
Yeah, it's a low percentage throw. That's the least completed football in the National Football League. Fades and goes. That catching percentage on that throw is like the least completed pass. So yeah, those guys do it well. Another thing too, coaching point on that. I don't think it should have been thrown. But if A.J. knowing that the ball is short and inside, if you go back to the ball and you're more aggressive to it, you'll get a SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, kind of a flop into a PI. But
and then the game is over. Then the game is over.
It wasn't the most aggressive approach toward the ball in that situation.
Is it somewhat of a trust issue with A.J. now? Because a lot of times when you watch it, it's like it looks like he just doesn't trust him like he used to.
I don't know. I think it's a relationship issue. That's my thing. I think that this has nothing to do with I don't think that it's football only.
Mm-hmm.
I think these two guys used to be best friends and they're not. And I think that it's a hard situation to deal with. That's me speculating.
Recklessly.
I don't think recklessly speculating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing.
That's what we do on this show. You fit right in.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with not necessarily football.
So how I know you don't know this answer, but say for instance, Jason, you had an issue with your quarterback.
Yeah.
How do you go about as a receiver knowing that your livelihood is tied to getting the ball? How do you go about trying to repair that?
Well, if you're mature, you got to die to your pride because you have to understand that he has the upper hand. And because the quarterback is going to stay around longer than the receiver. Mm-hmm. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's with Donovan or T.O. That's with any quarterback receiver situation. The receiver is the one that will be the one that falls on the sword, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to die to your pride and you have to be willing to go in and humble yourself and have a conversation because at the end of the day, if you want multiple Super Bowls, you want to win, you want to go to the Hall of Fame, you're going to win him over more with sugar than you are with,
vinegar, salt, whatever.
Exactly. So I think that's the approach, is to go to a man, have that conversation with you and him, and maybe they have multiple times, and maybe that's why AJ feels like he has no other avenue but to, show visible signs of frustration.
Today's show, of course it does, sponsored by NJM Insurance. While some insurance companies whose gimmicks get your attention, NJM would rather focus on putting their policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Visit NJM.com to learn more. Christopher in Reading back up here on WIP. What's up, Christopher?
Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that.
Let's do it. No, you're good. You're
okay.
good. It's like the Eagles going for the fourth down. Doesn't mean it's over. Just make a stop.
Yeah. My thing's not going to be popular, but just give me a second. I thought it all through. Okay. I'd have a play where we run it back for the safety, run a bunch of time off the clock. Now, Kyle didn't let me cook on it.
Wait. You mean before the fourth down, like when they were on the Packers 35?
Instead of the fourth down play, we use the fourth down and we use a fast. Now I know it doesn't work if we get tackled before we get in the end zone. They have the ball and they're going to score.
You said to run backwards towards our own end zone. That's insane.
And you run straight to the end zone, then you run around the end zone hold on. And kill as much time as you can.
But time
He's talking about like just run back and run the clock out.
Yeah, but
there was 30 seconds left.
Okay, hold on. But Christopher,
and Michael Parsons fast.
Christopher, if you get caught, obviously you set them up for the field goal. And even if you make it for the safety, then it's now a 1-point game. You have to punt it back to them.
Difference?
They could win the game with a field goal after all that nonsense.
What's the difference between 1 point and 3 points, though? If you run a bunch of time off the clock, and you don't.
Well, who are we putting back
run
there?
Around the field. You don't run around the field. You run straight to the end zone.
But here's the thing that I think you're missing. Okay. Michael Parsons was the absolute fastest guy on the field.
He would catch anyone we put back
there.
You think he'd catch Barkley running straight to the end zone?
Yes. How long do you think that's going? Wait. How long do you think that's going to take?
I like that Jason's entertaining the foolishness.
Serious. If he runs straight back to the end zone, how long do you think that's going to take?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking it's going to take 5 seconds. I know.
So what's the difference between a drop back that's going to take 2 or 3 seconds, right? And then you throw the ball down the field to A.J. Brown. It's going to equal about the same thing that you're saying.
I thought about that, and like I said, you run straight to the end zone, but you don't take the safety right away. You run around the end zone.
Oh, so you're trying to gain extra 4 seconds.
Yes, that's exactly.
That's more than 4.
think in total you could eat up 15 seconds off that clock.
Oh, so maybe.
No, I don't know about
maybe,
that,
but
dog.
Christopher, if once they get caught, you've now made it a 10-9 game. You have to then punt the ball back. So if they can throw one pass to get in field goal range, they could win the game with the field goal instead of tie it. Like, isn't it all risk reward? Like, what is the reward here?
Okay, so the way I play it out in my head is everything's a risk reward. If you make the plays that they did and they didn't get the reception, it was no good. If you punt the ball, there's always a chance that Mike is going to break the line and block it.
That's true. There could have been a block.
Somebody's going to run it back.
Chris, you're fired from your fantasy football league president. Yeah, if you're the president, you're fired.
Are you on Sirianni's analytics staff?
It's a different kind of fantasy football.
Yeah.
I was thinking when the phone hung up, it should have just probably stayed hung up.
Thanks, you. Thanks a lot, you.
I love you, though, Chris. That was a great call. Though.
We appreciate it.
Probably should have stayed hung up.
See, you know whose fault this is? This is Sirianni's fault because they went for the play and now we're workshopping maybe just a 65-yard safety. That's a better idea, Mike.
Every offense coordinator be like, "What, coach? What are you talking about?"
It's unbelievable.
What you smoking?
Yeah, it's just. I do understand it's a weird part of the field, Jason. Like, it would have probably been a 15-yard net punt, but like those 15 yards with no timeouts are huge.
Huge. Going 10 yards, like so say you get the ball down to the 10, right? Say you pooch punt, you get it to the 10 or somewhere in there, just like a raggedy kick down there, right? The roll was on the ground. Mm-hmm. They have to get 60 yards basically in order to get in the foot.
27 seconds, no timeouts.
So that's 3 explosives basically. Yep. And so time it's just very, very unlikely at that point.
You know, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with Vic Fangio when they threw the ball.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing to me?
Yeah.
I mean, because they gave them life. Now, I know McManus is banged up, and that was in that weather, 64 yards was probably never going to happen, but they gave them life last night for no reason.
You know who else gives them life or gives the Eagles? Well, the Eagles kind of the Packers receivers.
They stunk.
They stink every time I see them live.
There's a reason they moved Bo Melton to the other side of the football. The ball hit him in the chest.
It's one of those things where that's the kryptonite to their team. When it's off target at all and Jordan Love needs a play to be made, he basically has to run down the field and hand those dudes the ball.
Yeah, they're a talented team, but not. There's a reason why they're below the top in the NFC.
They're a bunch of Willie Gaults, super fast with no hands.